good. So we do have the ability. We should have had abilities to get comments, but it's not popping up on here, Josh. So we're going to, just like you said, wing it. So we are into the intro. Let me just do a quick rundown of what we're going to expect tonight on the pod.
Yep.
We are going to go, like I said, we're going to go an intro. We're going to go what's new in the show, an inside look at what you and the team have to go through as being a card shop owner. Card from the vault, crazy stat of the week.
Stat of the week.
Card tips and advice, a couple really good listener questions, and then we're going to wrap things up with what's happening next week in products and upcoming events. So let's go ahead and get started with our intro. First, we're going to talk about All-Star Weekend, and after you just let me know when you're finished talking, and then I'll wake up, because that's how I feel about All-Star Weekend. How about you? How do you feel about All-Star Weekend, John?
The glorified scrimmage. It's not for me, but it's fun to see all the guys get together. And I saw a comment on a YouTube video about this that was saying it was really cool to see some generational talent like Curry, LeBron, Giannis all playing at the same time. So there's something to be said for that. And you don't want anyone, going all out and getting injured on the All-Star game, but it is a glorified, basically, who has the ball last. I did not watch it, but sorry, I have kids here, so I did not watch it, but I did watch the very detailed highlights. And it just was like, hey, inbound the balls, you go down, either dunk it or shoot a three, and then we'll inbound it, take it down, shoot a three or dunk it. But Curry's performance, that was pretty cool. I mean,
what did he do? He dropped 50, right?
Dropped 50, hit 16 3-pointers. He's pulling them up from, the logo and shooting it and then turning around and looking at the crowd as the ball goes in. So that stuff's cool. I like the fun stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess nobody wants to just see the triangle offense in full bloom during the All-Star game, right?
You would like to see, like, when you put this set of All-Stars together in this set and they battle it out, which team is better. But again, you don't want anyone getting injured, and then these guys got to go out and play again for when it counts. And
right.
But the years of the dunk contest and all of that, those seem to be fading away. Like, kids.
Yeah. Let me just look real quick. The schedule events for this year's All-Star Weekend. I'm going to run it down. There's the NBA and HBCU, historically black college or universities. So Morgan State versus Howard University. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Sounds racist, but okay.
It's crazy. State Farm All-Star Saturday night. Don't know what that is. The Taco Bell Skills Challenge. The 3-point contest.
Yep.
The AT&T Slam Dunk Contest. So those are when I was watching the NBA. I don't know if we had the Skills Challenge in like the late 80s, 90s. That wasn't a thing.
Sure don't remember it.
The 3-point contest was cool back then. The dunk contest was cool back then. Yep. So let's disregard what we're seeing now. The All-Star games and Pro Bowls will always be something of I don't know. For me, it doesn't mean anything. I think baseball's doing it correctly. Am I wrong in saying that baseball, whoever wins the All-Star game in baseball has home field advantage at the World Series, right?
Right.
So
a little something on the line.
Yeah, they have skin in the game, but really, this is, I guess it's good for the city that it's in. Yeah. It'll generate some revenue there. But let's transition into what's like your favorite All-Star NBA All-Star moment or event ever.
I mean, all of us are going to put, you know, Jordan and Dominique, you know, the old school dunk contests. And in defense of the guys dunking nowadays, every dunk's been done. You know, there's nothing new to come up with. So you kind of got to get wacky with them. And I'm sure that gets hard. But if you do anything, you know, dunking from the free throw line now is just not as big a deal as it was back then. But I would say, you know, Jordan getting that 50. I like when Nate Robinson won the dunk contest because he's so short and I'm short. So
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Spud Webb won it, and it was cool because it was like Spud Webb, I think, versus Dominique Wilkins, and they were teammates.
yep.
And it's crazy to look back at that. When you look at highlights, those highlights are so old. The aspect ratio is different.
4x3.
It's a 4x3. It doesn't even fit the TVs of today. I remember for the 3-point contest, watching Larry Bird sort of the walk off win.
Yep.
You know, Ray Allen winning it, but I don't know what they're going to need to do. The only thing that was compelling to me in trying to watch the highlights, because I was not going to give up a Saturday night or a Sunday evening to watch any of it. I was just going to catch the highlights.
Yeah.
Did you see any highlights of the celebrity game?
I didn't.
So the celebrity game, I believe it was Myles Garrett played in it.
And Mason Rudolph?
Myles Garrett looked like a refrigerator out there, and to watch him dunk a basketball was fantastic. But the highlight was this guy, and he was an Olympic high jumper dunking the ball. It was great to see the celebrity side of things, somebody showing that sort of athleticism. But
yeah,
I don't.
George Stewart just chimed in on the comments on Facebook. Vince Carter's dunk, you know.
Through the hoop, absolutely.
Didn't he do the one, you know, I don't know, the 360 windmill, and then he said it's over.
It's over. That's right. It's just, you just never see that anymore. I think you know, everybody's, like you said, everybody's seen every dunk. They're trying to jazz up the 3-point contest. To display that sort of talent and make it entertaining for, I guess, folks our age. Does this mean we're getting old, Josh?
You are.
That is a fact. You could take that.
LeBron, I mean, we got to make note, LeBron hit the game winner. They played, I think 163 was the points they had to get to. So LeBron hit the turnaround, fadeaway, one-legged deep jumper to win it, and it was in Cleveland, right? So I mean, that has a little something. So
who got defensive MVP? Did anybody get defensive? No,
not in that game.
Okay. The next thing I want to bring up is something that I don't want to get too into the weeds about this, but the baseball work stoppage. It looks like we were supposed to start, pitchers and catchers were supposed to report this Saturday. You remember those days, Josh, when you played baseball, pitchers and catchers reporting? I was a pitcher, and the thing that I hated about reporting early was running polls and running polls and running polls. But
I always had to do extra running because I was a smart mouth, and I always had trouble. So.
No, I would never have believed that you were a smart mouth, ever. Yeah. But they were supposed to report this Saturday, pitchers and catchers, and then spring training. I mean, opening day is supposed to be March 31st. It looks like we're gonna at least miss some spring games. So just a quick heads up on the three. There's three major things that they are fighting over. They're fighting over service time, which I had to read several articles on these three things just to unpack it. Service time, spending limits, and rule changes. So the easiest one are the rule changes. It looks like we're going to get a universal DH, which
I'm torn, but I understand it. It'll be good for the game.
Yeah, I'm an old school guy. I think
Same.
I think for a pitcher to throw at somebody, for them to have to come up to bat and know what that feels like, I think that's important to the game. But you know,
but they also suck at hitting. So
yeah, so that's a big one. They're looking at like expanding the playoffs to 14.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that.
But then, well, then answer me this: if you like that, would they have to shorten the season because they're going to be playing into November?
No.
I mean, or does that force the World Series to have to be played in southern states or indoors? And then nobody has a home field. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know, October in New York and Boston.
Yep. It's frigid.
Yep. Don't want to catch the ball on the inside off the handle.
Well, that's why they get paid the big bucks to sort all of it out. But
I guess so. So rule changes like that, that's the smallest thing. I think one of the bigger things, and maybe, I don't know how much you know about this, but how players get paid. So right now, a player gets paid the minimum for the first 3 years. The minimum Major League Baseball contract, which I think is like it's like really low. It's like only $500,000 a year.
Oh, just like about what you make?
No, in a lifetime. So they get paid that for 3 years, and then they go into arbitration. They're eligible for arbitration, and then they get their big payday if they threaten free agency.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 years, and then they get a big payday. Well, the league wants to make it to where they get the big payday at 29.5 years old. There are prospects that get signed at 17.
Yeah.
And for them to be basically playing at what could be the minimum for almost 10 years, it's crazy.
Big chunk of their prime.
Yeah. And then the last one was in the name in the article that I was reading about this was Soto, right?
Yeah.
And the number people are kicking around for Soto is like $500 million. A $500 million contract. That's like,
yeah. What Soto turned down? What, 350 million, or what did he turn down?
Yeah. So he's looking for Patty Mahomes money. Is what he's looking for.
I would say there's also probably that 13 years. In 8 years, that's going to be chump change probably. Right. So they're keeping that in mind.
And then the last one was spending limits. Apparently, they're trying to create parity in Major League Baseball by this luxury tax. It's called a competitive balance tax. Like I said, this gets really technical, but I think that's where things are really bogging things down. Teams having to give up picks if they spend too much, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, I mean you can't make the luxury tax a financial penalty. Oh, I'm so rich, I spent so much money, so the penalty is you charge me some more. Who cares? I'm rich. Let's just
yeah. I mean it's hold on, let me pull something up real quick. Oop, I did not mean to do
Anthony
that.
says that that's my Grand Slam salary is what that.
Well, that's what we're doing.
I need to pay myself that much because you should see what Anthony charges me for cards when he tries to bring in the stuff.
Nice. Well played. So, we talked about this in the pregame. It took steroids to bring baseball back from their last work stoppage. I don't know, man. There's some sentiment out. There's some sentiment out there that it's just the rich complaining that they're not making any money. What do you remember from the last work stoppage? And then what do you make of all this?
Well, didn't they just make it to where they weren't going to test for PEDs anymore? I say bring the steroids back.
They're going to have to, man. I mean, baseball's, all the other leagues are innovating, and like we mentioned, baseball, the only thing they get right is the outcome of the All-Star game actually means something, and there's a little bit of juice, no pun intended, in the home run derby. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I was never really turned off by it. I was at an age to where I didn't pay attention too much to it. I stepped away from the hobby by then as well. But
during the McGuire Sosa Bond stuff,
yeah, I didn't even collect. I didn't collect back then.
I didn't collect either, but I was hardcore following the the games and the chase and stuff like that. And
yeah, I remember.
Did we not even think like, are these guys on steroids, or we just kind of like went with the fact they were hitting 70 home runs? And
I guarantee. I would look at my Mark McGuire USA Olympic card and say that's not the same dude hitting those home runs.
In defense, because I'm a pro steroids guy, I think all these guys should be in the Hall of Fame if their stats are say so. But people say, look at Barry Bonds late in his career, and look at Barry Bonds. Look at any 19-year-old, and then look at any 39-year-old, whether they're on steroids or not. They look like a different person. Later. So there's something you said. These guys are bigger and stronger and heavier. That's life. So there's no doubt, the juice helped. It had to have, because no one's doing it since. But when we get to the stat of the week, my stats revolve around Barry Bonds, in my opinion, the greatest hitter that's ever lived. And we'll blow you away with some of those stats. But
nice. Any closing thoughts on this work stoppage and what it may mean for the hobby?
You would think these people are smart enough to know that we got to get something figured out, because they got to think down the road. If they end up coming back eventually, but they've turned off half their viewership, it's going to hurt them all anyway. So if they're smart, they need to get this figured out, and I hope they do. And for business sake, I hope they do. We need some fire lit under the baseball products. And remember, a lot of baseball card collecting nowadays is like scratching the lotto ticket. So there's always going to be value in these cards, and their cards are always going to sell, because whether they're playing ball or not, you can still open a $100 box and pull $1,000 card. The odds are still there. So this product is still going to sell. Look at NFL product and NBA product in the off season when no one's playing. The product still sells. So it does. It's gonna ding it a little bit though. So my thought is these guys have to be smart enough to know this and figure it out. And
it's always a game of chicken, right? I mean, no one wants to see replacement players. No one wants to not see baseball. As low as the ratings are for baseball, it's sort of one of those things that signals the beginning of spring in this country. So
the owners want to sell snacks, and they want to sell jerseys, and they want to sell souvenirs and fill seats, and we'll just hope they get it done.
Well, I'm excited about Acuna coming back. That's all I'm looking forward to. So we'll see. All right, the last thing during the intro, in this shortened intro, our intros have been getting shorter by like 30 seconds. So hopefully we'll beat that.
One day we'll go under 20 minutes.
Right. Let me pull this up. Is this the best copycat move ever between sporting cards, trading card companies? If you have not seen, you guys got to look this up. Obviously, the Downtowns and the Kabooms and the Downtown Kabooms, and what's the other one from Panini that they do?
Oh man, you would put me on the spot.
Yeah, Downtowns, Kabooms. It's right there. Anyway, if you haven't seen these cards, and I found the Soto Downtown, and I didn't check any prices because they're probably going to be astronomical for Soto. But apparently the case hit out of Topps Series 1 2022 Series 1. And what are those pack odds again? It's like 1 and 228, Josh?
Yeah, 1 in every 228 packs has a home field advantage insert that
Home
you're seeing on the
field
right.
advantage. So, is this the best rip-off that you've ever seen in the hobby?
It's better because it's got their logo. It's top, so they've got the logos on there as opposed to Panini's. People are going to be married to downtowns because of what they are. So, what would really be cool is a rip-off Kaboom.
It's coming.
You got to keep the odds. You got to keep them rare, obviously to keep the value up. So it's made 2022 Series 1 tops fun to sell and open and have people send me pictures of their home field advantages that they hit. And the cards look good. That Soto card looks sweet.
That does look sweet. And we're thinking that you may have had a nice, a bit of a hot case come through the shop. How many?
It did seem like they were being pulled at a little better rate than 228 packs, but I could be wrong. Maybe we did sell a lot of it. So we sold out we got it in Wednesday, and we were sold out by Saturday morning. So more arrived today if you're watching. And Anthony said stained glass inserts. That's probably
there. It is.
Good
stained
job,
glass. Thank you, Anthony.
You're not a complete waste. Thank you, Anthony. Me and Anthony can rib each other like that. But customers would send me some pictures of cards they would hit. And if you want more Topps Series 1, unfortunately, the price did go up. Not astronomically, but it did go up a little bit. So we'll have more in the store tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So more hobbies and more jumbos. And we do have some blasters still in the shop. So we're reloaded because that product's been hot. So.
But back to the question is, have you ever seen a company like Topps or rip off another company and had done it so well?
No, what you see more is like Mosaic did stained glass inserts, but they're a lot more common than Prism stained glass.
Oh yeah.
So Prism stained glass are like case hits, and you'll pull a non-refractored, or they call a non-silver Mosaic stained glass. It's not that valuable. It looks really cool, but they're not very hard to pull. So this is definitely one of the best for sure. As long as the rarity stays there and the prices stay up, that makes it feel good when you hit one.
Well, when I was prepping for last week's break, I watched as much product as I could get broken open, especially on the jumbo side, just so that I could get the layout. And I must have watched 15 breaks, not one home field advantage. So for you to say that you got 4, 5 pulled in the shop, something's cooking over there at Grand Slam. All right. So before we leave this, I did think that maybe Panini ripped off or copied the refractor. Right?
With their Prism silvers.
With their Prism, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this is Topps going, yeah, well, gotcha.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see if these things hold value. They look great, and I tell you what, I'm itching to rip open a box just to see that if I can get one of these things. So,
well, come on down to the shop tomorrow.
There you go. All right. Speaking of the shop, new in the shop. What do we got new in the shop?
So this came out today. That's the good news. The bad news, if you're still wanting some, is we sold almost all of it today. Today was probably one of our top 10 Mondays since we've owned the store for over 4 years. So we sold cases upon cases of this product. We even limited customers so that we could spread it out as much as possible to the most amount of people. So that's the good news for us. We sold a lot. The bad news for the customers, there isn't any left, but more good news. This is a product we'll be able to fill in. And so give us a week or so probably, and we'll get another wave of Pokemon Brilliant Stars. We're able to sell it. See, we're able to sell it as a OTS store, official tournament store. We're able to sell this product. We've been doing pre-releases the last 2 weekends, and then today we're able to sell it. And I think it doesn't officially launch like in anywhere else until the 25th. So till Friday. So they give shops like us a little head start in selling that product. So another reason why it's just everyone comes here and buys it, and you can't get it anywhere else. So
nice. So then, Pokemon Brilliant Stars, and then
yep. And then the next one, which is this Friday, the 25th, is Donruss Basketball Hobby. So we will have that. We don't have price yet. Last year, if you remember, it came out of the chute at like $800 a box, and then it calmed down. And we have some on the shelf at like $500 a box. So and I guarantee you at $500 a box, I'm losing money from what we paid for those boxes. I promise you, we probably paid way more than that because we still have that product, but it'll all sell eventually as the rookie classes get older. I would be shocked if it was anywhere even close to that this year. I won't know the price until it drops Friday. I'll probably know the price Thursday. My guess is $500, but I could be wrong. So don't hold me to that. Could be less. Could be more.
That's a great segue into our next segment, which is we always try to give always all 5 episodes. We always try to give a little bit of insight to somebody on the other side of the counter about what you go through and some of the things that some of the challenges that you're faced with. And we want to unpack some of those and demystify some things. So you just talked about Donruss Basketball, just talked about some nuance with Pokemon. Give it a little insight on when you get notified of new releases, when you have to pay for it, when you actually put it on the shelves, and when you're allowed to open things.
So I'll use this as an example. I placed an order today for 2022 Panini Prism Draft Picks Collegiate Football. So Prism Draft Football for 2022. That product, the release date is March 25th, so a month away. And my due date was February 25th. So probably 30 days before the product comes out, they want to know how much allocated product do I want. Well, and this will vary by distributor. So I'm just using our distributor as an example. We use a distributor out of Georgia. So roughly they want my numbers of what I would like to order a month prior. My orders look like this. As much as you can allocate me, I'll take, because I'll ask for as much as I can and I'll get allocated a case or two, sometimes a half a case, sometimes 2 boxes. So that's just an example of a product, for instance, that comes out in a month. I placed the order today for it. The due date was the 25th, so I did it a couple days early. It launches on the 25th. I will receive that product on March 25th in the morning. And so we're often at UPS, right as UPS opens at 11, we grab our shipment and we run it down to the store and put it out on the shelf. So there is a little chance I get it a day early. And then they just give you the warning, please adhere to the release schedule. In other words, do not sell this early. And you sell it early, you get in trouble. So, and you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. So we also pay. Say that again? My watch is talking to me. We also pay for it when it ships. So it takes 2 days to get to us. So if, let's say, we receive it a day early. So let's say March 24th is when we receive it. I pay for it March 22nd. We have to pay for all of our product up front. And so, like in the shoe business, when I was in the shoe business, a lot of invoices, you'd have 30 days or net 60 days, and you'd have terms set up with your dealer to pay for that. We do not. So we pay for it all up front, and then we get it in and sell it as fast as we can. So What makes it also tricky is the fact that prices do this. And so they'll sell us a product. Often with our initial order, we'll also get rebuy order. So here's just a real quick example. Grand Slam, you're getting one allocated case. If you would like another case on launch day, you can buy another case at the rebuy price, which is not allocated. It's a much higher price. So often I'll get 2 cases in on launch day, just as an example. One's at an allocated price, which is really good. Another one is at a really high, right below market price typically. So we'll take the average. So Tops 2022 is a perfect example. Our first batch was allocated to us, so we got a good price, so we can be very, very competitive and often below internet. And this batch that arrived today was a rebuy batch, and so we pay much higher for that, and we're at the mercy of what they charge us if we want the product. So I try to rebuy as much as possible to keep the shelves fully stocked. So you come into Grand Slam, wow, there's a lot of product. Yeah, we do that on a little bit of a leap of faith that our customers are just going to keep buying from us because we got those bills to pay immediately. So that's an insight. Hopefully I answered.
No, that's great. And I'm sure I always sweat you about this, about doing more breaks. And is that why that hasn't expanded as quickly as we would like? Is because you want people to come in and see stuff on the shelf. It'd be easy for you just to empty the shelves, right? If you just want to do more breaks.
Oh yeah, I could break all day long and just drain the shelf. So when I here's a little history on the break group. So right, for a year prior to Corona, customers and friends that you need to be breaking. This is you need to be breaking. You need to be breaking. No, I'm not. I don't really have the need to. Well, coronavirus came and scared everyone, and then we went into panic mode because maybe we're going to have to close the shop. Maybe they're not going to let customers come in. Maybe we aren't going to be able to get product because of supply chains being shut down. So I quickly formed the break page, and then we just started adding people that we knew and spreading it and advertising it, and it built up really quickly. Well, the exact opposite happened. The hobby exploded. We never shut down our doors all through coronavirus. So the store was doing really well, and the break channel was doing really well. And now I've got, 1,500 members in the group that are wanting product broken. And I've got a store with customers coming in that want product on the shelf. And I said from day one, I'll do this break thing, but I'm not going to drain my shelves to break this product online. I need it for my local customers. So we're working at kind of buying extra, so we have enough to fully keep the shelf stocked, and then we break on the side some of our excess, and that makes it a little more comfortable when I'm ordering an order. Like, hey, I probably wouldn't order 5 cases of this, but worst case scenario, we can always break some online and have some fun with it. The other thing, someone asked me the other day, why don't I break more often? It really is time. I mean, we're getting you comfortable with it, and hopefully that will alleviate some. And you'll see Michael doing some more breaks with my help, and then maybe without my help through the shop. So I always tell people, hang on, more breaks are coming. We'll always break stuff, but we got to really keep the shop, supplied. And we ran out of Top Series too. I wanted to break some more of it, a couple more jumbos, but we sold out of it so fast. So there's no more to break. So that's the dilemma I have, but I keep saying we're priming ourselves and putting us in a position where you will see more breaks more often, and more variety, different types, blah, blah, blah. So,
all right, next segment, card from the vault. All right, you want to go first?
Sure. Mine has a little story behind it, and then I laid it down. I can't find it. Here it is. So, probably 3 years ago, I was at a card show and walking around, and a guy had this card in his showcase, and I looked at it. It was a 2018. I'll hold it up here. 2018 Tom Brady Kaboom. So, of course, I think he had $90 on it at the time. And I usually would like to leave each card show I go to with one little Brady for the collection. It wasn't, really expensive. So I showed interest in that. He said, tell you what, I got this in a break. I don't have a whole bunch of money in it. I think he said like $60. I got 90 on it. They sell for like 70 or 80. You can have it for 60. I was like, this is before things went nuts. I was like, sure, I'll take it for 60. So I took that card and had it for a while, and it slowly crept up. When it got to about $250, the value of that card, I sent it in to get it graded. It came back a 9. So that's all right. I mean, of course, you want a 10. That made it like $1,000. And then over time now, as the hobby has gone up and kabooms have been really popular, this card, I think, is roughly worth about $2,500 now in a PSA 9. If I could have got a 10 out of it, you're talking about $12,000. The last two 10s sold for $12,000. That's a card I spent $60 on. And Anthony, who's watching, tried to buy that from me in the showcase one time. And I had it just on display at the store, and Anthony came down to buy it. And I said, no, it's not for purchase. I just wanted to show it off. So I had to pull it from the display case, take it home. That's when I sent it to get it graded. The craziest thing, though, is that same dealer at the same table had a 2000 Contenders rookie auto Tom Brady in his case. It was a PSA 7 or 8. Because I remember thinking, man, that's really low, but it is graded. It's a PSA. He said, Josh, you can have that one for $900. And I was like, oh man, I can't do 900 on it. That card is worth probably now about, I was doing some research trying to find an exact price, probably about $20,000. And that was like 3 years ago. Had I spent that $900 on that card, and he probably would, I think he said, give me $800 or something for it. It was right. $700 or $800 for a $900 card. That was out of my budget that day, which I kick myself now, but in 3 years, that card is now in that low of a grade, probably $20,000.
Wow.
At least 10 to 15,000. So, but who to know?
The complete opposite direction, I have a cautionary tale.
Okay.
So when I got back into this, I had no idea what I was doing. I was trying to consume content. That's why we will shy away from telling you what to buy and telling you who to invest in. I will tell you what I do. So, and I said this to do exactly opposite of what I do. So I'm thinking it was in 2020. I was thinking of looking for somebody that was coming out of the draft that nobody was really talking about that I could invest in, right?
Henry Ruggs. Oh, no.
Nope. It's basketball.
Oh, all right.
Basketball. He got drafted by the Hornets, and he guesses.
What year?
2020. Notorious for people looking for LaMelo, and then he ended up being when they saw the Hornets logo, they'd be like, "Ooh, it's a," and then it was this guy and
Grant Ryler.
How'd you know?
Grant Ryler? Is that who it is?
Look at this.
That's who we dreaded anytime we'd pull a Hornet.
PSA 10. Not only is it Grant Riller, it's a college uniform. I'm from Charleston. My brother went to the College of Charleston. This guy was a good 3-point shooter. I'm thinking back to, maybe he could be a role player. Grant Riller, card from the vault. I don't know what to do with these things. They're not heavy enough to weigh anything down, so I can't use them as a paperweight. Look, in all seriousness, he's had some injuries, but he'll probably top out at like sixth man of the year if he ever catches fire.
Advice from you would be like that King of Queens episode where I think Doug he asks Arthur what team does he think's going to win, and whatever team Arthur said, he gambled on the other team.
Yeah. Yep. Complete opposite. So yes, cautionary tale. The take-home message here is know what you're doing, or at least have somebody around you that knows what they're doing.
The cautionary tale is this. It's very easy. Bye, Tom Brady.
Well,
Can
there you
never
go.
go wrong.
All right. The next thing we got up is crazy stat of the week. And I'm going to go first just because I've got it here.
Yep.
And I couldn't believe this when I saw it.
That is pretty
That
crazy.
Joe DiMaggio, for the first dozen years of his career, had more home runs than strikeouts. And then you're thinking, well, he just, so what, right? Well, let's fast forward. And everybody, I don't know if you know who Adam Dunn is.
Oh, yeah. Big Cincinnati Red and
Yep.
Big slugger.
And I don't know when this was. I got to go back and get the date. But Adam Dunn had more whiffs in the last 2 seasons of when this sort of snapshot.
Sure. Any 2 seasons. Just say he had
any 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Than Joe DiMaggio did for his entire career. That's crazy.
That's one crazy stat.
That is one crazy stat. How about you?
For my stat, I'm going to add a little bonus to last week's because I said Tony Gwynn, if you remember, Tony Gwynn could go an entire season going 0 for 4, 0 for 5 in every game, and his career average would still be above 300. Well, in researching this week's stat, I got clarity on that. He could go 2 full seasons going 0 for 4, 2 straight seasons, and still that's hitless in 1,183 at-bats and would still have a career batting average over 300. So to make last week's crazy stat even crazier, it's not 1 hitless season, it's 2. So that was a correction to that. This is about my favorite hitter of all time, Barry Bonds, that I touched on earlier. And instead of having one stat for the next 6 weeks about just Barry Bonds, I've got like 4 or 5 here that are just kind of mind-blowing about Barry Bonds. Steroids or not, these stats are insane. So if a player were to go 2 for 5, that's not a bad night if you went 2 for 5 in a game with a home run and a single in each game. His batting average would be 400, and he would have 162 home runs in that season. So any player goes 2 for 5 all season with a home run in every game, his on-base percentage would still be lower than Barry Bonds was in 2004 because 2004 was his big year. So that's crazy. So here's another one. We know, so WAR, the statistics WAR, wins above replacement. What WAR is it's a metric that measures how much better or worse a player is against a typical average player. So Barry Bonds was 5th in total WAR from 2000 until 2014. He hadn't played a game since 2007. So for 7 years of not even playing, he was still 5th in total wins above replacement. This is crazy. Barry Bonds' 688 intentional walks is more than the Tampa Bay Devil Rays entire history franchise. That's 127,000 at-bats. Barry Bonds has more intentional walks than that entire franchise. Pitchers did not pitch to him.
Nope.
So in 2004, this was Bonds' big year. Bonds could have gotten 0 hits and still had a 480 on-base percentage because he walked 234 times. Here's one. So when you get a walk, it doesn't count as an official at-bat. So in 2004, Bonds reached base more times than he took an at-bat. So in other words, he took 373 at-bats, walked 232 times, had 129 hits, was hit 9 times, and reached base 6 times by errors. So adding all that up, Bonds reached base 376 times when he only had 373 at-bats. So he reached base more than he had at-bats. So there's one more. This is the one I touched on last week. I think off camera I told you about it. So people say Bonds was juiced up. He had all these home runs, 700 62 home runs or whatever it is. Okay, so if you took every home run that Barry Bonds ever hit and just made that an out, his career on base percentage would be 384, which is the same as A-Rod's. That's if you took every home run and turned it into an out. If Bonds were to return tomorrow, he would have to go 1,400 straight outs to drop his on-base percentage below 400. So in other words, that's 2 full seasons going 0 for 4 every game. The dude was unreal, steroids or not. There's a funny folk saying is that Bonds walked so much because the umpires knew his eye was so good that if Bonds didn't swing at it, they weren't going to call it a strike on those borderline pitches. And the exact opposite happened for Maddox. They said if he painted a corner, he never missed, and so it had to have been a strike. So he got so many extra strikes called because the respect that the umpires had for those two guys and their abilities. So that's my crazy stat, Barry Bonds worshiping of the week.
And for anybody listening to this or watching us live, if you guys want to sort of throw some crazy stats that we can share on the show, because I have no problem finding crazy stats in baseball, but I'm sure every sport is filled with them. So, all right. Yep. Up next is our listener question. Actually, we have two from the same listener. So the first one, and I'll just read it here. With cards becoming a lot more popular again in the last 2 to 3 years, I assume there is more hoarding and hanging on to sealed product. What are your thoughts on that, Josh?
So here's my thoughts on that. It's probably not as much as you would think, and I'll use an example. Every year when Contenders football comes out around Christmas, my brother would buy a case of it, and I think in 2017, 18, 19, before prices really went kaboom, you could get, and he wouldn't buy it from the shop. He would go to like Blowout Cards. He would buy a sealed case and stick it on the shelf at home and wait a year. And he'd spend, I think roughly, these are just rough numbers, but he'd spend about $2,500 on a case. He'd sit on it for a year and sell it for $5,000 pretty easily. And he would use, and he's not even into cards that much. He would just say, hey, where else can you double your money in 12 months? And so he would do that just as kind of a little fun bonus thing. But when prices kind of went nuts like they are now, buying that case now at $5,000 and either A, hoping it would double, which it probably won't, but hoping it would go up to that same $2,500 profit to $7,500 gets to be a little scarier. When you're playing with $5,000, it's a little less intimidating, or it's a little more intimidating than playing with $2,500, for instance. So yes, there are plenty of people that buy wax and hoard it and hold it because almost all wax goes up. But with these inflated prices and the prices doing this, I think it's got some people a little scared, myself included, to just buy product and stick it away because we see what it does. Prism last year basketball came out and it was way up here and then it went way down. So if you waited 12 months and sold it, you lost money. Now, if you could stick it out for a couple years, it's going to come back and you can't find that product anywhere. It's going to go back in price and Lord willing, a rookie or two pops off in that class, then it's really going to inflate that. But I would say people are probably being a little more cautious because product is coming out of the chute so high right now. Where before it was just pretty cheap. Buy a case of Contenders for $2,500. It's going to go up. And that's my thoughts on that. Another thing I know is some people will buy wax to hoard and hold, and then it just gets too tempting to open because it's like having unscratched lotto tickets at your house. And could the big card be in there? Or like myself, I'll hoard it. And then I'm like, you know what? We could really use it down at the store. And so we'll just put it out to sell at the store. So those are some thoughts. I do know there are people with deep pockets that will do that. And my advice would be if you hold it for the long haul, not just a year. With the prices how they are now, being so high right off the bat, you need to probably hold it for a couple years. That would be my advice on that one. And you're welcome to chime in.
Yeah. So, and this isn't my thought. I've listened to plenty of content creators about this, And the way I've heard it positioned is investing in a player is like buying an individual stock. Investing in sealed wax is buying a mutual fund. So if you're going to hang on to sealed wax, and I love your take there, Josh, over the long haul, not a year, but 2 to 3 years, you invest in that rookie class. And you may not even know if that rookie class is going to be any good for a year. So you may have to buy up if things pop off. Like there is talk that this 2020 rookie class for quarterbacks is going to be an all-time great class.
Yeah.
So if you've got some sealed wax of Prism football, that is a long-term play, and just watch Joe Burrow and Herbert just beat the crap out of each other in the playoffs for the next 10 years. That's a great play. Yeah. But like maybe Baker, was the Baker's class the same as Mahomes?
No,
or
Mahomes
a year
is
after.
17, Baker's 18.
Right. And 18 is Josh Allen, right?
Josh Allen and Lamar
right.
Jackson.
And Lamar Jackson. So, you look back, and you look back at these rookie classes for every product. And especially if you can get product in football and basketball before 2017. Hanging on to that product before the print runs started inching up. For instance, last year I bought a box from you of Formula One and sold it 2 months after and made a little bit of money. That box, from what I sold it for, is trading for 5 times what I sold it for. So in retrospect, I was just looking for the quick flip. And look, you're never going to go broke making a profit, right?
Yep.
But I wasn't educated on the product. I didn't think about the fact that there are only 20 drivers. I mean, there are 20 players that have cards on football teams. They're not going to do every offensive lineman and maybe 20 cards per player per team in football. And maybe same thing with basketball, 15 players per team. There are 20 drivers total in F1. And so if you're looking
20 fans of Formula One.
Absolutely. No. But if you be educated about the product, be educated about the sport, if you believe in that rookie class, then sure. And you have the discipline.
Yeah. Well, and here's the argument you'll hear some people say too is that these products that have redemptions, if you hold it too long, then the redemptions are no good, and then you've shot yourself in the foot. But keep in mind that let's use 2019 contenders, because my brother actually still has a sealed case of 2019 contender. So Kyler's the only one that's really stood out from that class, because that had Drew Lock and Jarrett Stidham and Gardner Minshew and a few others that were hot and have been hot for a little bit at one time, but now aren't, and could still be. But Kyler's the one to chase. So let's say he holds that 5 years. Well, guess what? That case will sell because, that's Kyler Murray's. You only need one big guy in there as long as he's not a redemption. The other thing to think about is, all right, so there's a few redemptions in there that aren't going to be any good. Panini may still do something for you, so keep that in mind. And 2 is there's veteran autos in that product too. So you look at the checklist and say, oh, well, Mahomes has autos in that product. I know for a fact because number to 10 got pulled from the shop. So Brady will have a handful of autographs in that product. So you might 5 years down the road look at that and be like, man, that rookie class wasn't very good. But look at the checklist. Brady has autos in there. Mahomes has autos in there. There's second year Josh Allen autos in there. So long story short, the wax is almost always going to appreciate, even if the rookie class fizzles out, because there'll still be one or there'll still be some veteran autos, and you can't find that product anywhere, and people will still want to open it. So
the next question for Mark is also a great one. So he asks, there's a wide range of prices on hobby boxes and also a number of cards in a hobby box. Does
Right.
one type play more into gambling versus value?
So to clarify what he's saying there is there's a $500 hobby box of Donruss that's got 18 packs, 8 cards a pack, so you're going to have a whole stack of cards and one autograph, for instance. Or there's a $500 box of Elements that's got 5 cards and 2 of them are autographed. So am I gambling more with my 500 on the Elements where there's only 5 cards, or am I gambling more on the Donruss where there's 300 cards? So here's my thoughts. And again, I've been wrong in the past. So, but here's my thoughts. The gamble is a little bit the same because out of that Donruss box, you're getting one autograph and you're getting a shot at something really short printed, like a downtown card. And you're going to get a handful, maybe 2 to 4 numbered cards out of that box. So you're really you don't care about the base cards out of that product. You're chasing the autograph, the 3 or 4 numbered cards, and the really hard to hit inserts. In Elements, you're chasing autographs and you're chasing low numbered cards. Well, that's all your 5 cards are those things. So the chase is a little more the same. You got to look at what product has the highest ceiling. So, and in those products, you could argue either one could, because you could pull a 1/1 Josh Allen rated rookie or rookie card out of that product, and you could pull it out of Elements as well. So go by the price of the box. That's probably going to be your metric for is how big of a risk is this. A $10,000 flawless box or a $500 Donruss box or a $500 Elements box. Your risk reward is probably closer to the same on the $500 products than it would be on the $10,000 product. So that's one thought. The other thought is a product that you've got 18 packs. There are certain types of collectors, and some of them are like, I don't like this whole bunch of base card products. I have certain customers that are like, I just like the couple cards a box. There's my hits. That's all I'm after anyway. I don't care about all the base cards. I don't have a place for them anyway. So I would say your hit rate on the boxes with only 4 or 5 cards, it's $500, is going to be a little better. But that doesn't mean you couldn't do just as well, if not better, on the Donruss box. Here's another example. How about $500 worth of blaster boxes from Donruss? You're better off $500 worth of a hobby box if you're purely just going for the gambling aspect. If you're going for I want to collect a whole bunch of cards or get a whole bunch of rookie cards, the problem is those rated rookies are never going to be, what the low numbered autographed cards are. So there's so many different products. Check your checklists. Use cardboardconnection.com is a great tool to see what am I chasing in this product. But really, a box is $500 because of the potential that's inside of it, and a box is $10,000 because of the potential that's inside of it, and a box is $50 because of the potential that's inside of it. So that's what these prices are based on, and it's all a gamble. But sometimes it's okay. I'm not really in it to gamble. I want to open it and have fun opening it, and if I make some money, that's just a bonus, and if I lose money, that's okay. I enjoyed opening it. When you watch a movie and spend $100 at the theater, you're getting some entertainment. You have nothing to show for it at the end of it. The same can be said for opening sports cards. If you have fun doing it and you enjoy it, I tell people, if you enjoy it, just keep that in mind. There's some enjoyment there. So,
no, I think it boils down to mindset, right? If you were opening a box and your expectation is that you're going to get your money out of it,
yeah,
then you're probably going to be disappointed more often than not.
Yeah.
We are a highlight society. We love watching highlights, and there is not a shortage of YouTube channels that focus on just the highlights of pulling things out of boxes. But I love your take on that. Here's
a couple other things I say a lot in the store. Customer will come in and be like, look at the wall of wax and say, well, which one of these can I buy and make some money? And I'd say, if I knew
All of
the
them.
answer to that, there wouldn't be anything behind me. Or if it were that easy, we'd have a line out the door. It's just printing money. So that's nobody knows that. You can kind of gear yourself towards one that maybe, but you just can't know. Otherwise, yeah, we'd just be printing money. Other people will say, man, I see your Facebook page. You get a lot of big cards coming out of the shop all the time. And I say, well, keep in mind, we don't post pictures of the bad boxes. So, yes, we do have a lot of good cards come out. And I think a lot of that comes from we at the shop don't open any of the product off the shelf. So, other card shops might have owners that get a case of something in and they open a few boxes and they'll hit a case hit and then they sell the rest on the shelf. That's not us. I'm telling my guys, don't open this stuff. In fact, don't even buy it. Let our customers buy it. We want them to hit the big cards. So when I tell customers, nobody wants you to hit a bigger card more than I do, that's the truth, because that's what keeps people coming back. That's what gives them a card to sell and have some expendable income. And then the one other thing that people always ask me, or the comment that's always made, is, or I'll tell people, so here's a way to look at it. If you buy a box, and I'm going to use $500 just as an example. You buy a box, a bad box, you're going to get 80 to $100 back. A good box, you broke even on. And a great box, you made a profit. So right. Most of the time, you're not going to make your money back on it. So you better enjoy opening it and be okay with that. But you can break even and you can make a ton of money. So a bad box, you lose a bunch. A good box, you break even. And a great box, you make some money. Food for thought.
All right, let's wrap things up. New products coming in next week and events, upcoming events. What do we got?
Trade Night 6. Is it 6?
It is Trade Night 6, March 5th, and we've got some new things we're gonna roll out during Trade Night. You want to tell them about it, Josh?
Yep. So we are going to, like last time, get Palmetto cards to come that night. If they are not able to come, we will collect again for them and hand deliver them ourselves for PSA or SGC grading. So that'll be available that night as well. Everyone that comes through the door will get a ticket like usual. Instead of doing drawings for 30 minutes and giving away product, we are going to do something a little different. I have built a life-size Plinko board, and each ticket will give you a drop of a Plinko chip. And so there will be prizes at the bottom, some better than others. But everyone that comes through the door just for free will get to drop a Plinko chip and win a prize. So most of the prizes will be wax, I'm sure. So,
and Josh has promised me that he's going to dress like Bob Barker.
Yeah.
It's on the podcast now. You have to do it.
We'll see. I didn't dress like Santa Claus on Christmas. So. Santa Josh. So that'll be what's going on. We'll have a nice featured, probably NFL break. Those seem to fill fast. So I will post that any day now, probably in the next couple of days. I will post that. We'll fill that for March 5th and break it that night. You actually might be doing the breaking on site. I'll be there being able to bounce around if you're able to do that. So a featured break, our Plinko board, submit your cards to PSA or SGC at the shop, and then just bring cards to buy, sell, and trade and hang out and have a good time.
Excellent. So that's March 5th. Look for some posts for that. We've hit another little lull, new product wise, right?
Yep. So the next product, I have it pulled up right here. So really, we're looking at the 9th of March, which is still a couple weeks away. So you'll hear us talk about that over the next podcast or two. But Contenders football, which usually comes out around Christmas, just keeps getting pushed. So March 9th is now March 9th is the next kind of big piece of wax on the horizon. Okay. So we'll get fill-in product between now and then, and probably some other cheaper products. But that's the next big one on the sports side that's coming.
We are running a little long today, but I didn't know if you want to take a look at the chat to see if there's any questions we may have missed that we want to address this week, or we can use them next week. It's up to you.
Yes, so nothing there. Matt Roper did comment when I said there was 20 Formula One fans in the whole country, or out there. Period. He said 20 in the U.S. I guess Formula One overseas is huge. So
It is, and just here's a little nugget. If you haven't watched the Netflix special, watch that, and then correlate that special to what it did for F1 cards. And Netflix has announced that they are going to do the same thing for the PGA Tour.
Ooh.
So if you have any golf cards out there, I don't know who the featured players are. They obviously can't follow around everybody, but just a little nugget. Little nugget.
Having said that,
bonus card from the vault.
We'll end with one more card from the vault since you said golf. So there's a Tiger Woods PSA 10 rookie. But it's already sold, so that's why it's here. It wasn't in the vault, but it's sold.
Guys, if you are not following us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Anchor, that's who hosts the podcast, go ahead and follow us there. We love answering questions. We do our best. We're not saying that we're going to be right all the time, but we'll do our best. Josh, any parting shots?
I haven't made a mistake yet. I thought I did once, but I was mistaken.
There you go. Josh, good seeing you, brother.
Thanks, y'all, for watching.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.